All right, folks, good morning. We are back this Monday morning here, June 5th, shortly after 9 a.m. Eastern time. Great to see all of us back on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works, and all of us, of course, inside our live trading room. Grant, Phil, Leda, Michael, Alex, John, Felix, Ronnie, got Ron, got Leda, Egan, and all of us here otherwise, Cal, Kevin, and all of us. So without further ado, folks, let's hop right into it. I had the TMBR trade making a nice pop just earlier. Ended up just holding a resistance, not just off of 3, but a level we'll talk about coming up on the daily chart, right off of 310-ish, 313. It was like perfect, hit off resistance and just pulled back down now. I was hoping for a much better move, even off of 290, like at 8:45 in the morning. I hate to say it, but I ended up going completely break even on this trade. I thought there was a chance for this to blast off way higher. But hey, like we always say, if it's not going to make that big move up, over time, it's only going to make a big move the other way. So I ended up getting out exactly break even right off of 292. That was actually like 8:52 in the morning, 8:53. Then from there, the lower high, and now this thing's down in the dumps big. So, hey, for the open, do I mind just putting this on the main watch list? Not at all, actually, because even though it's dropping off here, it's very liquid. It has good liquidity on the book. It's cheap. So we'll check back in with this trade at least by the end of it all. I'll put it on our list probably towards the middle, probably towards the bottom of it all, just once we finish up. All right. So with that said, though, I'll tell you, I mean, even just if we can recall back from Friday last week, we had like one trade that did really well for us. It was the PAC-W. I mean, we had a couple of trades otherwise that did well, but the main mover in the morning was PAC-West, right? Ended up seeing a nice pop early in the morning. Well, I bring them up right now just because PAC-W now, I said this before the meeting here started, but even higher here just after 9 o'clock. It's making a bit of a push. It's only up 3.5% or so from Friday's close, but very strong push here. So now I was going to talk more about Friday's move that we ended up capturing. Pretty good move under and over from 695 was the opening print price from what I recall there. Led to a great squeeze. So, great trade, very tradable stock. You could trade the option on it too. Pretty cheap there as well. And with that, I mean, hey, for the market open right now, I just bring this up even more so for this point. It's up big, or, it's making a bit of a move here in pre-market. Not up that like illustrious 5% or more that we look for, but for a nice morning move right now, we'll definitely take this. Put PAC-W right back on our watch list here. I also said before this meeting started, for all of us inside the live trading room, I was kind of alluding to the fact that we weren't going to have as much out there today, or perhaps even this week, actually just on top of what we're looking at so far in PAC-W and Timber. I know that there's the big Apple product launch event today, so they have a lot going on, Apple, AAPL. But otherwise, I would say that this could be a good day to follow some side list stocks. I wasn't necessarily expecting as good of a push on PAC-W at this point, but that's one of the stocks that we were focused on from Friday and really last week as a whole. So that's a side list stock to me. Another one that I just thought of, I don't think I typed this in the chat board, but Sophie. Sophie ended up making a nice pop back from mid last week. It's actually trying to break above the highs set from Friday. So, could this be one to watch for the open? Absolutely could be. This one I'll at least put on our side list. The PAC-West making a much better move right now. But, by the end of it all, maybe I'll just come back to this and slip this on the back end. So we had this. We had the PAC-W trade. What else? We had Carvana, another side list stock, right? More so from Thursday last week, but another mover that we ended up getting from last week as a whole, and not up as much or doing really anything here so far in pre-market. So we'll keep this on the side. But that's what I was kind of alluding to. This could just be a day where you can kind of just scan through your side list and you could run into a stock making a nice little pop up or down. We have a couple more we'll jump to at the end, PLTR, Palantir, and AFRM, Affirm. But, I didn't really see too much action on those so far. We have Boyle. Boyle made a nice little pop early in pre-market this morning. So, speaking of our side list, an ETF, but natural gas ETF, Boyle, cheap, ended up making a nice little push early this morning. It's up a decent amount so far percentage-wise. I'll add this to our list here also. Boyle. But hey, if you have level 4, then I would suggest for you to give it a stab. If you don't have level 4, I would much rather you follow just equities, whether it be Timber or PAC-West here. Just it's much easier for you to follow the smart money, the big money, just on an equity comparative to an ETF. Boyle, even if I were to load up level 4, it might look pretty ugly. So with that said, unless if you're at least more of a level 3 trader or otherwise someone that has bookmap level 4, then, I would just say focus on something else. Man, PAC-W is flying. This thing already broke over 8. You actually just really quick update on PAC-West here. I saw this right now. I didn't see it before. It wasn't as close to it. But we have a huge iceberg, it looks like, here. On PAC-West, we got about a 96,000 share iceberg order on the Ask Live. It's been out there all pre-market this morning. I tell you, I mean, we only started focusing on this trade really from like 8:55, 5 minutes before this meeting began. But, really that order has been out there the whole time since 7 a.m. And it's about 96,000 shares right now. So that's at 813 clear resistance to work off of going into the open for this trade. So right away, I'll just plot a line, 813. There we go. All right, so we had a couple of other trades that we had from Friday last week, right? We could probably talk about UCAR again, just bring that up briefly. It made a bit of a move early in pre-market this morning, but pulled back, so not looking nearly as good now. But, from last week, Thursday mainly into Friday pre-market, this UCAR trade was a huge move. So I'd be remiss to at least not mention that. And, for right now, again, just kind of dumping off now since like 8 o'clock. So for the open, we're going to pass on it. What goes up typically comes down. What makes the percent gainers list one day typically makes the percent losers list the next. If it's not the next day, it's going to be the day after that. So you don't want to get caught slipping on a trade like this. So for right now, let's just go from top to bottom. Friday's news is not necessarily today's news. We do have Pac W, but FRZA, I will say Friday's news could be today's news with FRZA. This popped more so in the after hours, if anything, though. This wasn't a Friday regular session move. So, after 4 p.m., I looked this up early in the morning because I have insomnia and I wake up at like 4 in the morning, 4:30. I'm like, all right, what's moving in the pre-market? I'm a crazy person. So I saw FRZA up big and I said, all right, let me just see why. Like there has to be some news as to why it's up like 98%, 95% at the time. And all it said was that it was basically hype that the company released on their Twitter account saying, hey, be on the lookout for this news coming out with the hashtag of electric boat. Electric boat. So, speaking of the EV game, with cars, obviously, hey, I mean, if there's a company that specializes in electric boats, some launch coming out, some news to be released led to a big push in the after hours from Friday, and then even more so beginning from 7 o'clock this morning. Now, though, at this point, it looks pretty damn choppy. I mean, it was pretty choppy after the initial pop in the after hours. Looks very sideways, very choppy right now. So, choppy waters, huh? All right, so FRZA, we're going to put on our list here. Going into the open. Hey, Fausto's in Florida right now, too. Little housekeeping note there. Fausto's meeting up with the great Tom Busby and DTI today and tomorrow for a big conference there. So I hope he's listening right now. A little news on the boat market from there, FRZA. All right, so FRZA, TMBR already on our list. It's still kind of making a bit of a lower high right now, but we'll keep them on our list for right now. It looks interesting still. And we keep going. CJET. Now, this would be funny. If FRZA made a pop off of some sort of news announcement, I don't know what this company is, CJET, but it would be funny if they're related to boats or water jets. I don't know. We'll figure it out here. I'm not going to be newsman across this whole meeting, but I just want to take a look. Why is this stock up a little bit here in pre-market? CJET. It's not good when Benzinga doesn't even have any sort of fundamentals or financial information on the company at all. It just shows like the name of the company, CJET Motor Company. Doesn't even give a description though. Either way, that's as far as I'm going on that. I don't really care otherwise. Hey, going into the pre-market, it was looking somewhat interesting, bouncing back up from 7 o'clock, 7:30, but had dragged back down since. The daily chart looks like a mess. So I'll put this on our side list, even though it's up like big percentage wise. Up big percentage wise doesn't always mean it's going to be a good trade. So, let's just see what else we got. EVAX, I was hoping for a better move on this than what we got in pre-market. Led to a nice little under and over roughly from 2. And, since it's just been pretty flat, but hasn't totally tanked yet. And, for right now, it just has a better spread, better liquidity. I'll put this back on our list in hopes of a better run up. BVXV, another dump off here, side list. Had this on the pre-market list just right before we posted, saw this pop and said, all right, maybe there's a shot that this can move. And obviously right after 8 o'clock, this just dove off and that was that. MMV, hey, much like UCAR, MMV ended up making a big move back from last week. I got them tripped up earlier. So it was UCAR back from Thursday. This one dumped off anyway Friday, as well. But pre-market MMV from Friday, this was a huge move. So from $1 all the way up towards 4, leading into the market open. But, hey, for as much as it moves up, you'd figure it's going to pull back. Maybe it can run later on. Well, it pulled all the way back. So typically, once a stock continues to break lows across the morning, that's when you typically move away from it. One thing I will mention, we ended up actually calling out that bottom pretty nicely at the time. It was right off of 240, bit of a quote unquote historical level. It wasn't too strong like for a long period of time just because this was a new IPO, but back from like early Jan, this thing dropped from like 13, 15 bucks all the way down towards a low at the time, 240. The next day after that, the same day, or the next day, it was the same low, 240. So a few of us, Steve, myself, Phil, I think a couple of us jumped in right off of 240, 242 at the time, led to a good squeeze. But then from there, lower highs, lower lows. And, this only dumped off heading into the afternoon. Now, for the morning here today, ended up making another pop back up. I mean, it's kind of luring us back in, right? So I'll put this on our main list just kind of towards the bottom with the timber trade. I feel like this is more likely and more prone to dump lower. But in the event where this makes another run again, I'd love to try and trade it because we did well on it back, Friday and pre-market that morning. All right. So what else we got here so far? We got 6 stocks on our list here. So we don't really need to build up too big of a watch list at this point. The PACW bounced right off that 813 as called. So, we'll see if it could break above it after the market opens. GMDA is up a tiny amount. I'll write this down for my side list here at least. Yeah, PACW, then we got PANW. Obviously, the price differentiates the two. PACW is the one that we're trading. All right, so let's hop over to the loser's side here right now, folks, seeing if there's anything just looking as good, if not better. We got to get our water breaks in at some point. See what else we got, though, on this side. Geez, getting a few expensive ones out there, and otherwise things are just, you know what? Actually, I was going to say that, there's not as much down percentage wise, but that's a lie. That's a big, bold lie right there because BLPH is down huge. But actually, since 8 o'clock, since we had put this on the pre-market list, you can't always guarantee it's going to make that big squeeze up just because it's down big percentage wise. You got to ask, how much lower could the stock go? When it was trading at $1.80, $1.75 going into 8 a.m. Eastern, well, it has $1.75 more to drop. So, only continue to break down a bit here. I'm going to put this back on our list, though, in hopes of this making some sort of dead cat bounce at some point throughout the day, hopefully sooner rather than later. But, yeah, I mean, for right now, BLPH, we'll just see in hopes of a dead cat bounce. You never want to swing trade these, though, because, I mean, there's a stock I always like to show in events like this. ARDX, this looks like a really nice move up, right? This stock ended up dropping like 88% one day, one morning. But this was a really nice squeeze to begin this year. I probably need to even go back on my chart here if I could. Let me just show this if I may. Yeah, it took some time for this to make its big squeeze back up, right? Dropped from like $7.58 all the way down to like mere sub 2. And that was back in July of 21. So if you waited that long, I mean, I guess it paid off in some regard, but we're not trying to hold our breath waiting for that big dead cat bounce. So for today's move here, we'll look to see if this can make some sort of bounce, but never look to hold on. It's not designed as a swing trade. So in the event where it does squeeze up day over day, that's great, but we're going to day trade it day over day. So, as long as we're able to capitalize on the moves, that it's breaking over big level, big breakouts here. All right, so let me know, folks, if there's anything else up, down, left, right, more than 5%. That's all. That's really all I got for you here. Not much else that I see across my map. Check my side list here, just Benzinga Pro and Bookmap level 4. Seeing if there's any other stocks that I may have missed that I already have on here. Not really. All right, so what else we got from Chuck, John, Ron, Dave, Grant, and all of us here otherwise? Let's see. Some chat on PACW, CJET, a developer of next-generation electric vehicles. There you go. So maybe it is sympathy in relation to FRZA, FRZA. It's funny because you figure for the FRZA, FRZA, if you're familiar with at least the video game growing up there, FRZA, like big auto racing game. So I thought it had to do with cars. I looked at the news when it had to do with boats. I was like, oh, that's pretty surprising, pretty interesting there. So, folks, just for all of us inside the live trading room, really quickly, Fausto is out just up until Tuesday, if not Wednesday. He's in Florida with Tom Busby, not by me, on the other side of Florida at that, but it'd be nice to run into him here. But, hey, for all of us inside the live trading room, we have Traders Talk this week, that being tomorrow, just our weekly workshop. For any of our new trial members joining us here, that's our weekly workshop, really the only source of education inside this trading room. This trading room is really meant to be a professional live trading room. So, for Grant, Ron, John, Dave, Elizabeth, and all of our students here, they're trading, they're making call outs. You know what I mean? So, for any of our trial members here, tomorrow morning's workshop is going to look to explain a lot, but to learn more about our strategy, I'd recommend just diving into the pre-recorded workshops that come with your trial membership. I'd honestly just recommend to sit back and just not really look to trade and risk your real money just right now. Just see how it's all done and see that this is just a possibility to begin with. But that'll be tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Traders Talk. For any of our trial members there, you just need to be inside our live trading room, as you would be right now. And, we'll begin that at 11 a.m. But send over any questions to my email address, josh@ctutrading.com. If you wanted to join us just on social media, just go right down to the link on the green banner below, just on the bottom of the stream. And fair game to you. You can send over any questions or trades to myself as well, josh@ctutrading.com. I always like to post my email here at the end of these streams. All right, so folks, I think that's going to wrap it up for us right now. Hey, if you're joining us on social, be back at 2:30 at least. I'll be back on at 2:30 p.m. Eastern just for the afternoon meeting. So, we'll look to recap any of the big moves that we caught there and look to build up a new list going into the market close. Best of luck trading here going into the market open here, though.